is episode 5, game 5 of the second season, Arsenal Fan Circle. I've got some distinguished guests here. James Rowe and Andrew, the Hinkley Gooner, is in the house. Um, Welcome in, folks. We're going to try and keep this an orderly and not so much calm. You can speak your minds like you will. And we have Gunded News here, but let me get started. 2-2 draw. What's wrong with these players? This is criminal. You go into a 2-0 lead, you can't close out the game, and you're outplayed by approximately 30 shots to 7 or 8 in the game. And we are relying on our strikers. We're a one-dimensional team. We're relying on Lacazette and Aubameyang to score most of our goals because Lacazette has scored 2 and Aubameyang has scored 5. That's 7 out of the 8 goals we've scored. Can anyone guess who the other player scored in the league? Who is the other player that scored in the league? And that's all we're getting from the other parts of the team in terms of goals. The mentality in this team, we lose a goal criminally, and we'll talk about it, and the heads just drop, and we're on the wrong side of a 2-2 draw after gaining a point in the North London Derby. Imagine saying that, gaining a point in North London Derby. Maher, what's your thoughts right now?
I'm completely pissed. The players that we have right now are fucking bottle jobs, absolute bottle jobs. It even goes right through to our coach. I would have loved the guy to succeed. I'm fully behind him. Andrew James, I'm fully behind Emery. Right now, I'm totally doubting myself. I will hold my hands up high and say, I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong in putting my faith in this coach. Either he's not good enough, or this his mentality. I don't know. What is he thinking? Lineups wrong, wrong substitution. How would or how could you take off both of our playmakers creatively and expect Joe Willock and Reece Nelson to be ready for such a game where we met with those 3 points are there for the taking. And to be honest with you, we could have ended up with no points at all, and we would
Yeah.
have deserved getting. We would have deserved losing.
Who wants to take it, James or Andrew? We could have been beaten today.
You go, James.
Okay, here's Andrew. Yeah, we were that chance that I think Decorday had in the injury time. If he'd have put that either side of Leno, then we would have lost that game. For me, the players went in at half time thinking this game was won, and therein starts the downfall when you are playing away to the team that's bottom with a new manager, thinking, "Oh, job done at half time." And you looked at the body language of some of the players as well, and you thought, no, you got to fight a little bit more to get this over the line. And also with the substitutions, with subbing off Ceballos, and I can understand giving Reece Nelson and Joe Willock more opportunities, but we've got to win the game first. I mean, if you look at the upcoming matches, we've got, Europa League is starting, the League Cup is starting, going away to Manchester United, playing Aston Villa at home. We've got some really interesting fixtures coming up. And we've 2 points dropped today, most definitely. And you could argue the same in the North London Derby. It's a long old season, as we know only too well, but these players have got to become more professional. I mean, I keep saying with our back line, they can't communicate. And people laugh at me and say, oh, yes, they can. No, they can't. I watched them live last season, and in some cases, they're using sign language. A collective defence, even if you just shout out man on or whatever in terms to instruct so that your fellow defender can hear what you're saying, it can put everybody at ease. And we just seem to have a disjointed back four where you've got players that are just making sure they're okay rather than helping out as a collective. And it's quite worrying, really.
Andrew?
Well, I've shared my concerns about Emery for quite a while now, and it just gets worse game by game as far as I'm concerned, unfortunately. And it just doesn't got a clue. I don't think he's just got a clue. He's really doing my head in. The substitute. I mean, what else can I say about Socrates? Again, I've been going on about him for so long now. I mean, what was that? What the hell was that? You know, just because you can do a goal kick into the inside the box now to one of your players doesn't mean you have to.
Exactly.
I mean, what the hell is that all about? I mean, he can't play an 8-yard ball to his teammate. Well, why did he choose that ball in the first place? There's someone cutting off the pass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's brain dead, and he keeps picking this player. And how many times are we going to have to just gift goals away before the manager stops picking these players? I mean, Xhaka was all right today, but then one of the other ones did it. That keeps doing it over and over again. It's driving me mental. And our best player, apart from Aubameyang, who got the goals as well, and we had a few players that had decent games, but Ceballos was our best player today, I think. And he took him off. And he was all over the park, leading by example. That kid, back ushering the ball out for a goal kick, down the other end the next minute, tackling in the middle of the park, and he was the link that we were playing really well in the first half. He was the big reason for that, and all our impetus just went as soon as he went off the pitch. When how are we going to get back into the game doing that? When we're 2-1 up, we need to go for a third goal. We know that, and we gave up. It's just like we gave up. So I've lost low. I'm clinging on with my bare fingernails to some kind of hope that Unai Emery is going to do a half decent job, but I'm losing faith rapidly. That I'm virtually giving up at the moment. So I'm obviously right after the match. I'm very annoyed at what I've just seen against the team that's the bottom of the league, and we made them look like Barcelona in the second half. I mean, how many times were they lined up on our box? Or I mean, there seemed to be like 4 or 5 players ready to take a shot from the edge of the box. For Watford players, they were just pinging shots in left, right, and centre, and we did nothing about it. I just don't know. I just really, I'm very, very frustrated about it. That's the way I stand at the moment.
Here's a point that Alex is in the chats, and he said these players are operating off of the coach's instructions, but at some point they do need to use their heads. If they can see there's pressure on the defence, play it long, James.
Yeah, if in doubt, put it out.
That's what I said about Chambers. Picking Chambers instead of Socrates, because he's more likely to do that.
Yeah, Socrates.
I mean, he said you have to play with your heads, but Socrates hasn't got anything between his ears. He just hasn't got a brain when it comes to things like that, because he's got a big hole there. It's just ridiculous. No professional footballer playing in the best league in the world at the elite edge. Why would you do that? I mean, there's no other reason for it. It's utter stupidity. I really didn't know. Normally, I'd just go mad, but I couldn't even. I didn't even have the energy to go mad when I saw that happen just then. I was just thinking.
Andrew, James, Ray, you guys are like myself. We're all at
I think it's a failure as a collective, as a backline. I mean,
the whole fan base now.
I was brought up with a famous back five, and I was spoiled, with the famous back five. It was you never get past Arsenal and all that kind of stuff. And now, just the simple basics of it, of just lack of communication, playing it simple. I mean, like for example, David Luiz giving a penalty away. Yes, he has his moments, but what are you doing stuff like that? Well, we're leading 2-1. Try to think of a different way where you usher him to one side, where you try to avoid that the shot is being taken on. And, chickens will come home to roost as the season goes on. I think everybody forgets it is a very long season indeed. But I hold out hope that Arsenal will win a trophy this season. But it's still very, very early days. But we don't help ourselves with situations like this. We really don't.
It's already feeling like a very, very long season. It's going that way, unfortunately. I mean, I totally understand, and I totally agree with you, James, about the defence. But in that instance, when I keep going, I can't get it out of my head. That Socrates pass that gave away that goal, that was nothing to do with any kind of poor management of the defence or no one talking to each other or communicating. That was just stupidity. There was no one else involved. There's no excuse for that at all.
Andrew, if you want to talk about stupidity, talk about the penalty.
Oh, Joe, he was caught on his wrong leg, wasn't he? And I really, really backed David Luiz, and I backed him after the Liverpool game, and I was really pleased when we bought him. I've always loved him as a footballer because I love the way he plays football. But I can't defend him anymore at the moment because it's the second game on the trot. He's giving away a penalty. We're just giving away goals. It's just he should have known better. He was caught on the wrong foot and he got completely done again. So I'm really, really concerned. I don't think we've moved on from last season at all.
Andrew, one of our subscribers just mentioned now, his name is Tahir Mukadam, it's actually my cousin. 2 penalties from 3 games from WBs.
I know, it's not good enough.
What is that? Like,
we're giving teams it's like playing with a handicap because we're giving away goals in every game. It's like we have to start from behind.
And penalties.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just we're giving them away.
We do have a comment from the Arsenal realist, and his point is we have not invested in our defence. Is there a point in is there a valid? That's a valid point, right, James?
Yeah, I believe so. But you've got to identify the defenders that are out there, and you have to go and scout them and check that they are the ones you really want. I mean, Andrew makes a great point about Socrates and the stupidity today. We paid £16 million to Socrates. Now that's an awful lot of money for a defender who's average. Again, double check that you are buying someone you really want, someone you really need. I mean, you look at Inter Milan signing Diego Godin. Yes, people will talk about his age, but if you see that man play and defend and cajole and captain, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And Inter Milan identified him, they went out and got him, and he will prove a huge asset to Inter Milan this season. And I know we've got Saliba from St Etienne, and I know it will take time for him to adapt. But we've also, Callum Chambers deserves a run now. Holding can't come back soon enough, and fingers crossed that Bellerin and Tierney can be fit and be ready to play, because we need to start selecting the same 11 now, and we need, in terms of going forward, and all this chopping and changing, it's not doing us any good. I mean, I can understand there's new competitions coming up, but we harbour ambitions of getting into the top 4. I would also like to see Arsenal win a trophy this year, and I just think if we play a settled side as the season goes on, I think that would help us.
And look, James, I know we have Tierney and Bellerin and Holding to come back, but if you go out in the transfer window and spend most of your money in midfield and forwards, and don't spend a lot in defence, you get what we see today, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, but it's also identifying the defenders that you want. I mean, you see now on different timelines, and obviously lots of different Arsenal fans selecting different players. But as someone who interviews professional players and managers on a regular basis, there can be so many different facets to a transfer. A player can be quite happy in the country that they're playing in. Maybe their family's also quite happy. So not every player who's courted by a certain club in a certain league wishes to leave. Maybe they're quite happy, for example. And I just think that going forward, we need defenders, but it's about identifying them and not just kind of throwing names into a hat and picking names out and saying, "Oh, he'll do." Because when we signed Socrates, for example, I wasn't really enamoured, and when I saw the price tag of £16 million, I thought, no, that's a bit too much for a defender who's quite average. So again, and slowly but surely, you're wasting money, and that doesn't do us any good long term.
So I'm going to bring Richard in. He's here now. 5 in the house. Richard,
Evening, lads.
welcome in. We want to get your perspective of what just happened today.
For me, an absolute abysmal. That's what
Do
it is.
you need a minute to get your thoughts together?
No, because I'm just going to say exactly how I feel.
That's what we need.
For me, for the Watford game, I don't know how we've gone 2-0 up and then come back to draw 2-2. How? How on earth have we managed to do that? The performance from the bench was absolutely terrible.
A tale of two mistakes.
And the fact that they thought the game was won at half time.
Yeah.
The thing is about investing in defenders, like we were talking about just then, James just mentioned. We could have bought Virgil van Dijk and De Ligt, but if we've got a manager that's not got a clue what to do tactically, then they're still going to let in goals. It's just ridiculous. We could buy the best defenders on the face of the planet, but if the manager is not doing the right things and doing the right changes and setting us up right and getting us well drilled and well oiled, we're still going to lose. So I'm just really concerned that the manager is just not the right person to lead us and take us to the next level. I've never thought he was the right man to take us to the next level, but I don't even think he's the right man to take us par at the moment to get us.
Andrew. So Andrew, Mahir and I did a pre-game show before the game, and we were a little curious about the team selection when it was announced. And what I noticed was there's some players on the substitute bench that I don't believe the manager or coach has faith in. Maybe Torreira did have a knock, so I'll give that. But Willock, Chambers, Nelson, in particular, he doesn't believe in those players, in my opinion.
No faith. I'd love to
It sounds like that Unai Emery doesn't even believe in Martinelli either. So what was the point in even buying him if you're not going to use him? This is what I don't get. Why?
See, I'm not sure he's got a say in transfers. Like I said before, he really liked Iwobi and Mkhitaryan, and he played them an awful lot last season, and then they were sold from underneath him. I'm not sure he's got a say in who he's buying at all. It's open. It's all out there in the open that he didn't want Torreira. He really didn't want him. He had to be talked into it to having him. So I just don't think he's got a say. He's the coach, the head coach, and he's not the manager. He's supposed to be getting the best out of the team that he's given. I mean, when he got the job, he had the dossier of every player in the club, right the way through the youth as well, and that's what swung it in his favour.
Yep.
But
he had to convince Gazidis.
You think that he'd know? You think he'd know after 18 months of being in charge? Who's the best player?
What happened to his ruthlessness? Like, he used to make substitutions as early as the start of the second half. Now, with team management and game management, we are 2-0 up. Why not make these substitutions early? I've noticed actually now, and a lot of us have, he's got set times, 60 minutes, 75, 74, 73, and these are often too late. Like, what is the guy thinking right now? Like, what is his mentality?
James, let me come to you, James. You talked about the club being ruthless during the summer, and I think you might agree. I would agree with you that they were ruthless in the summer and moving some players on that we could, and moving and getting some players in and being proactive in the market. Is Unai Emery ruthless enough?
At the moment, I don't think he is. I think that he's being. I'm starting to think he's becoming far too cautious for fear of losing his job. Now, I know that might sound strange, but he's signed for 2 seasons with an option of a third. If certain targets are not met this season, his contract extension won't be triggered. But I watched him in some of his press conferences when he was manager of Sevilla and Valencia. And when you hear him talk, and when you hear him, be assured in what he was saying and that kind of thing, you'd think it was a different person. And I know that he's dealing with a language which is not his own, and he has improved, and he's doing ever so well in that respect. But he's got to really up his game now, because it would be a shame for him to have to leave the club having not given everything he's got, because you'd wonder going forward, did we see the best of him as a manager? I mean, this is a manager who turned around Valencia's fortunes, won the Europa League 3 times in a row with Sevilla, and played attacking football and was ruthless. And you wonder if he's just being that bit too cautious. I mean, I don't advocate. For me, I can understand and I always respect the opinions of fellow Gooners, but a manager also needs time. When you change a manager, you basically start from the beginning again. And I've spoken to enough managers on a regular basis who often say, but the longer you are at a club, you know exactly what you need, you know exactly what you want. And also when a new manager comes in who maybe doesn't play with wingers, or maybe doesn't play with certain players, the players that play in those positions get marginalised, and then they end up leaving the club. So it's a very interesting decision that will have to be taken towards the end of the season, I feel. But we've got to do what's best. I think I saw a comment from a fellow Arsenal fan before I came on tonight, and it got me thinking. It was Gazidis who appointed Unai Emery. You wonder with the likes of Raul if he's looking and see him, if he believes, along with Edu, if Unai Emery is the right man going forward. And you wonder if, as time goes on, they would take any action in that respect.
He shouldn't be worried about losing his job. He should be really going for it to try and get a new contract.
I fully agree.
He's got the wrong mentality.
Andrew, to
100%, guys.
James's point, we used to see last season he would make substitutions at halftime. Now he's going 60 and 70 minutes. So that shows a little bit more of caution in his approach.
And he's very cautious in his initial lineups and the players he's bringing on. That's all cautious as well. And I've said it 100 times. We need to attack to be defensive. That's our attack. That's our defense. Sorry, is to attack. That's the way we have to play at the moment.
Yeah.
Because all of our strength is in our attack, and if we keep them occupied down the other end of the pitch, their heads start dropping when we start scoring goals as well, and that's a form of defense because they feel beaten, and that's the only way we're going to be able to do it. And we're not set up to do it that way. We have to outscore opposition. When we were 2-0 up, we should have gone for the throat and gone for the third and fourth. And he didn't do that. He tried. We can't hold on. When was the last time? In what era? Was the last time we could hold on to a lead? A 2-0 lead and feel really confident. It's going back to George Graham, I think. I don't think we've ever been confident because we just, when we were good, we were very good and we kept scoring goals and we thumped teams. But throughout Arsene Wenger's tenure, we've never been a team to hold on to a lead. Obviously, there's going to be, certain examples here and there where we did, like away to Real Madrid, for example, 1-0. But we can't do that. We're just not that sort of team. So we're going to have to try and beat teams and score a few goals, which is not a set up, and we're not able to hold on to a 2-0 lead or a 1-0 lead or whatever. It's just, I can't remember the last time we were able to do that and feel confident. I was never confident at 2-0 up. I was very happy with the way we were playing. I thought, wow, this is good. And I was hoping we were going to get a third for half time. And then we revert to type at half time. It's like with range teams. It's a different outfit that's come out for the second half. It just feels that way. So it's just really disappointing. It just, I'm feeling the same sort of way that I did towards the end of last season, and that's not good.
Yeah, exactly. I've got some notes here. Richard, I'm going to come to you next. Notes, Andrew. 70th minute, result in doubt. It's back and forth there. The game's getting stretched. And I have mentality, Richard. My notes are mentality of the team. When they're 2-1 up and they can't, the other team's pushing, they can't seem to close the game out.
Do you know what? I think our focus shut it off completely. I think when it got to about 60 minutes, I think our focus completely shut it off. I think most of our errors today was down to our defence. And I don't think that Leno could have done anything about them. I think Leno had a good game. But if you look at Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he was poor, very poor. For me, he gave the ball away too many times, and that ain't good. I know he's not a predominant right back, but that's no excuses. You know, you're in that position because you're the only cover that we've got until Bellerin's back. And God forbid, I'm hoping he's back soon, because it proves today how much our fullbacks mean to us at the moment in terms of Tierney and Bellerin. They are going to be crucial, but it's our two centre-backs. Now, this is why I predict I chose to have Callum Chambers and put him back in the side.
Isn't Chambers better than any one of those two defenders? Or at least one of those two defenders? Anyone?
He's better than Socrates, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't get. Sorry, Andrew, go on.
I was going to say, I'm still concerned with Bellerin coming back because he's still not very good at defending. He's great going forward, but he's not an out-and-out defender, so he's not going to solve our defensive issues.
Andrew is the same like Kolasinac, for example. He's very good going forward, but there's times we are defensively in shambles because he doesn't know how to get back just in time, and they leave these gaping holes that teams will exploit. Like they know when they play Arsenal, just exploit Ainsley Maitland-Niles and one of our centre backs, and you're through on goal. You basically get gift-wrapped a goal.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's fucking ridiculous. Mind my language, guys.
Do you know what? The one thing that annoyed me today was why are we keep playing out from the back? Because surely at some point it does not work.
Why can't
Unai Emery see that playing out from the back is clearly not working in some games? I understand why he's doing it against Watford, because when you got lumps of like Kabul up, putting the ball over the top is like food and drink to them. So you have to play around them. But I don't get it. Is why do we keep playing the ball out from the back, even though Emery can see it's clearly not working?
We put ourselves in immense pressure and under all these by playing out through the back. But Emery, how does he not see that it's leading to goals? I don't know what on earth Socrates was thinking by giving the ball straight across to trying to give it Guendouzi. Yet you can clearly see there's three Watford players right in front of him waiting to pounce on any slight error. And we just keep doing this every single fucking game, man. Oh.
There's no communication. Well. That's what it is.
No communication.
Those players have got to take responsibility as well. If it's not working, change it amongst yourselves. Show initiative and change it amongst yourselves. If you know as a back line it's not working, if in doubt, put it out. Just keep it simple in that respect.
James,
it's Socrates we're talking about, though.
James, what you're saying, is that down to the caliber of the players out there? If you have a better defender knows when to switch it up and go longer. Van Dijk knows to do that.
And also De Ligt and Godin. But there you have
it's also been our two forwards.
Yes, Andrew?
Sorry. I was going to say, we've got two of the fastest forwards in the league in Pepe and Aubameyang. And it's not... how many times throughout history has teams actually been hugely successful by using two really quick forwards? So let's have a think back. Maybe 3 years ago, Leicester won the league by playing long balls over the top of teams and letting their players run onto it. Jamie Vardy, they won the league by putting the ball long. Jamie Vardy having one touch and banging it in the net. And we've got two of those players. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we actually with some decent, accurate passing out from the back, that we could actually do that to some teams. And instead of this stupid passing it 2 yards in our box and playing it out like, meter by meter, it's just absolutely ridiculous. We can't How many times are we going to actually make stupid mistakes before Unai Emery realises perhaps we shouldn't do that anymore? I don't know. It just drives me mad. It drives me mad. And again, James, I can't fault a word that you said about what players taking their own initiative and saying it's not working. We need to do something different. But like I mentioned to earlier, Socrates hasn't got a brain. He can't think like that. He's stupid. I'm sorry, but he is. I've said it before. 85% of the game, maybe sometimes 90% of the game, he's a good, solid defender and looks sound. But then 10 to 15% of the game, he's doing things exactly like what he did today. And we can't keep putting up with it. We can't put up with it. It's just a joke.
Do you know what annoys me most about this Watford game? It's the performance as well, but Watford having 30 shots to R7.
And they're bottom.
That's what annoys me the most. It proves that our mentality is weak. And I know I saw a comment by Alan Smith. He actually had connections with the club, and he turned around and said that the players are confused with Unai Emery. They can't fully understand his instructions of what he wants them to do. We've got no playing style. What is our playing style?
I saw that from. Sorry, go on. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
I know James has something to say possibly about that comment, Richard. Or not.
Well, for me, it's just my personal opinion, but comments like that don't help. I mean, we're in a situation now where our players come from everywhere. They come from all over the world. So you wonder what common language are they speaking amongst themselves. And in any job, whether you're working as a lawyer or a cleaner or in any job, if you can't understand your fellow colleague and you can't speak to them and you can't work together with them, you're asking for trouble. And I think, Alan Smith was a tremendous player of Arsenal, scored 2 of the most important goals in the history of the club. But comments like that, they don't help. And, we've got to find a collective as a squad going forward. And you can see that there is cliques within the squad. For example, the friendship of Lacazette and Aubameyang and others. But it's about bringing others into play as well. And I think today, Xhaka as captain, I saw the images in the tunnel before the players come out. And again, it looked as if it was just a role. It was just, he's carrying it on from someone. He's just he doesn't really feel the pull to want to be able to do it. I don't think he wants to actually do it, to be honest. And the annoying thing for me about Xhaka as well is when he goes away on international duty, when he goes away to Switzerland, where it's less pressure, tempo's less, pressure's less. Very rarely does he make a mistake, but when he comes back with us, it's as if everything passes him by in some cases.
I saw it today when Nelson came on and Emery was giving him a briefing about what to do, and he pointed about 3 different players. Nelson was just, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I could see it, that he didn't have a clue what he meant when he came on. It was obvious. And I've been screaming for Martinelli to come on for a few games now. I don't know. The substitution is just ridiculous. I just don't understand the thing behind it. Going back to the last game, Mkhitaryan coming on the day before he left the club, whether he knew about it or not, it was just the wrong substitution anyway. And so, like I said, we lost all kind of impetus and cohesion when Ceballos went off. It's just completely the wrong choice as far as I was concerned.
I don't even know where to go with this, but 1 clean sheet in 5 games this season. We've scored 8 goals. We've conceded 8 goals. Our goal difference is 0. Richard, we had. If I was a player, if I was an Arsenal player, I'd be like rubbing my hands together. We have a game against the team in the bottom of the league, and we can go 3rd place alongside Manchester City. And I'd want those 3 points. What happened?
Yeah. Same old Arsenal, isn't it?
Same old.
It's the same. We go into the game 2-0 up. At that point, I'm thinking to myself, go and get 3 and 4, because then they're going to struggle in getting back. Keep on to the front foot. Do exactly what you done before you got to half time. Keep the focus, and then push on to go and get it. But we didn't. Play your own game. Stop what Emery's doing. It seems that all because they're further down the table, it's like he's showing them too much respect. It's like he's probably telling the players, look, lay off of them. Let them come to you. No, keep on to the front foot.
You have to be ruthless in this aspect, because we basically discussed it, Ray and myself. James, Andrew, you guys can also pitch in. We basically discussed in regards to the top 4 race, right? Watford, the Norwiches, the West Hams, the Aston Villas. These are games where you have to win by any means necessary. Blood, sweat, tears. Because if you're going to get into the top 4, these are must-win games. These are games where, for example, our legends would go into a tunnel and our opposition would say, we're getting thrashed today. There's no possibility of us taking points. There was complete fear. But teams these days know that one long ball over the top or just exploiting one of our centre-backs, because they're bound to make just one mistake if you apply way too much pressure on them. And we apply pressure on ourselves, which makes it even more immense. And that's where we concede goals. And aside from our defense being absolutely shite, which I'm sure you guys will agree with me on. And I don't think anything will change unless Emery realizes and makes immediate, with even the likes of keeping, Gran Xhaka wasn't bad today, but we know we could have put in a Callum Chambers who hasn't done anything wrong. Partner him up with David Luiz. And you might be getting a different sort of, or have faith in the youngsters or something,
Andrew, let me come to you, Andrew. Sorry, James. We'll get to you in a second. Andrew, I know you talked about substitutions. Can you see a common thread here? In the North London derby, Ceballos comes on in the 60th minute. We get back on level terms. In this game, Ceballos comes off after 60 minutes, and we lose the lead. The Indian don't want to talk about substitutions.
He makes the wrong substitutions. We keep saying he's giving too much respect to the opposition. We need to impose our own style. Well, I say we haven't got a style, but we need to really force ourselves on our opponents and attack them. Like I said earlier, it's the only way we can defend is to actually score 2-3 goals and actually knock the stuffing out of the teams, and it makes them stop attacking almost, that way, because their heads drop, and that's the only way we can actually do it. I think it's actually try and get a good lead in the first place, and by taking off your playmakers, your attacking players, and replacing them with more defensive-minded players, and actually playing them out of position in lots of cases. Let's face it, he's shooting himself in the foot every single time, and we're letting teams off the hook, and we're not actually, going for the kill. We're just it's like in the old gladiator movies when you got your sword on someone's neck and you spare them, and then you walk off, and then they'll turn around and come and stab you in the back instead. That's what's happening to us.
It's a good analogy.
James, I'm sorry, you had a point there.
Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate on the point that Maher made about when the legends were in the tunnel, and teams had that element of fear. But you look at the characteristics of those players we had back in the day. They were real fighters, and they were prepared to win, and they wanted to win. And you wonder about this squad of players. I think they love living in London. They love the London life and all that. But how much are they prepared to win with Arsenal? And people talk about top 4. Last season's top 4 failure was due to poor results away at the likes of Southampton, and losing to West Ham, and missing the penalty in the derby, and then losing to Leicester and to Everton. And, if the same things happen again, then again we won't get top four. But for me, from my point of view going forward, we've been in the Europa League 3 years in a row. This is our third year in the Europa League. In my opinion, we are in the most difficult Europa League group so far when you compare to the two previous editions in Frankfurt, Standard Liège and Guimarães. We have lost in this competition to Östersunds, to Rennes, to Bati Borisov, to Cologne. And we've got to get our own house in order in Europe before we have any grandeur of top four. I can understand the pull and I can understand the clamour of Champions League football. But if we are not showing that we can compete in the Europa League, yes, we reached the final and okay, we didn't win it, but we've got to improve our European form, especially away from home. And we've got a very interesting game on Thursday. Frankfurt lost to Augsburg yesterday, which was a surprising result. They played away from home, and I expected them to win that match. So they're going into their game with us on Thursday at home, having lost their previous Bundesliga match. But we need to get our campaign off to a good start. I hope that we can get through the group as soon as possible, and then concentrate on the league. You know, it's not going to be an easy group, but I expect us to get through. But I think some Arsenal fans are taking the opponents like Frankfurt and Liège. I mean, especially at both games away from home, when we finish in Liège, it's a difficult place to go to. But I fully expect us to get through the group. It's just we've got to improve our European away form, especially away from home.
Yeah, and I can't even think about that right now, but we will get into the Europa League. My head is just still spinning from what happened today.
I just wanted to give a quick heads up on it because, as you know, I'm an hour ahead here, so I'm going to have to sign off now. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really good. Been great to speak to you all, and keep your heads up. And it's a long old season. Great points made by everybody tonight, so we can take heart in that and look forward to the game on Thursday.
All right, thank you, James. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate your time.
You're more than welcome. Speak to you all again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, James.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, so we have Cohen. Hi, I'm a Watford fan. Listen, we have to give you all the props and congratulations. Your team fought tooth and nail today, Richard. They fought for everything, and when they put the pressure on us, we wilted. We capitulated a little bit.
Yeah, at one point I actually thought Watford was going to get a third goal, especially with
They should have actually won that game. If I'm a Watford fan, I'm disappointed I didn't win that game.
Yeah, I think he's kind of disappointed as well that he didn't take that chance. The ball went straight at Lino. But do you know what? They've got great spirit. Watford had great spirit to capitalise on mistakes and to get forward and to hit us on the back foot. And they done that. You know, it proves in the last 20 minutes of that game, we just fell apart. We just was all over the place. Now, I don't get the point. Why did Emery take off Ceballos? I really don't, because he did help Xhaka and Guendouzi a lot, but even though that Xhaka was our captain, he was poor as well. I'm sorry, but he wasn't no captain today. No way. If you look at Mesut Ozil today, I don't think he had not that much of a bad game. I think he was quite solid at times, kept things basic. And he had that pass that he played to Maitland-Niles through the Harry caught it onside. I think that was a good pass to open Watford's defence. But if you look at the whole play of the first half, Watford was the better side. Watford was the better side from the start. Yeah. Second, I mean, in the last come up to the 45 minutes, we didn't play too bad. But our mentality just went. And I would like to know what Unai Emery said to him at half-time.
Do you guys want to know something funny? This is very light-hearted. You know, we're feeling very heartbroken at the moment. Andrew, Richard, Ray. But in his post-conference, in his post-match conference, he actually thanked Watford. Can you believe that, guys? He actually said, "Thank you, Watford."
What for? In what context?
Yeah, why would he say that? Not here.
He was talking about we had the capacity, or we have a great capacity in our squad. I didn't quite hear his clear message, but from what I got from it, he was actually thanking Watford for beating us.
Getting in the pack.
So yeah, exactly. Basically showing us how crap we are, or
He
something
had,
along those lines.
he had nothing else to say. He had no excuse
I
for his
don't.
performance, Andrew.
I don't think very good. We just make them look good. We just let them come onto us. They had the whole run of our half of the pitch on the second half. They didn't have to do much. They were, like I said earlier, they were lining up on the edge of our box and just taking pot shots left, right, left, right. Left. I mean, how many shots did Delapeu take? He must have taken over about 50 on his own.
Right and
You know,
center.
it was,
When you give a team two penalties, in essence, that was two penalties that Watford had today. You're
well,
going to score two goals.
Guendouzi did a worse ball that Ceballos got slaughtered for the other week against Liverpool. So Guendouzi did one 10 times worse because he was under no pressure. He went straight into the box, and I mean, he was awful today, Guendouzi. Pepe was awful today. Ozil was. I quite liked Ozil's performance.
Ozil played quite well.
Aubameyang was Aubameyang. I mean, that first goal was incredible. I just loved that because he just gave no time. I mean, the shot came far earlier than the goalkeeper expected, and that was a brilliant finish. But
Bergkamp is
very few came out of that game with credit today, unfortunately. I really wish we'd started Willock. Xhaka didn't do anything particularly wrong today. He was okay, but if we'd have started Willock, that would have started us on the front foot from the off, because he would be, again, getting his head down and just running with the ball. That's something Xhaka never does. He never runs with the ball. So it's just, I mean, we went from, looking pretty decent after we went 2-0 up to just literally especially after the I don't know what to call it really. It's not a mistake. When Socrates does something like that, it's not a mistake, because he meant to do it. So after his brain fart, we might as well just packed up and gone home and forfeited the game, because there was only going to be one winner, really. We were very lucky to end up getting a draw. But I don't agree that Watford were brilliant, because it was just we were so poor and gave them the run of our half.
Andrew, one of our subscribers just said now we would have been better signing Ziyech, and I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree as well.
I can't believe we didn't.
I mean, right around the board, we've got thumbs up on that, because, I mean, he really would have provided something much more within the team. And he's very young and passionate. I'm sure you guys have seen him play many a times for Ajax. And the passion that he shows, I mean, along with everything else, because not only does Pepe have to break his duck, but now he's looking totally void of confidence, and everybody's going to be sitting him because
this is the thing. This is the thing I was thinking of just before we went live. We have managed, or I don't say we. Could it be Unai Emery? I'm not sure with his tactic, with his manager coaching. We turned one of the hottest properties in the whole of Europe into a guy that looks like he's from League Two with no confidence. That's what he looks like. I'm not exaggerating either.
Yeah. Andrew, we play a different style of football. He's going to have to adapt to. Leo played a lot of counter-attacking football last year.
When he gets the ball at his feet, it doesn't matter what style of football you play.
Mm-hmm.
When you're an individual and you've got the ball, you've got the chance to run into the box or do something with it. That's not down to the formation the team's playing.
No. Is he really missing Lacazette? The player who's going to knit those two players together.
No, again, because he's an individualist, Pepe. That's why what's so good about him. What's so good about when he was in France, he got the ball at his feet and ran at players. and he scored 23 goals and however many assists last
If
season.
I'm not incorrect, I think he worked with Kone at Lille as well. He played very well alongside him as well. So the two of them up front helped him.
But do you
Yeah,
guys
but I
not?
mean, we've got plenty of good players, haven't we? I mean, he just looks like a different player. He doesn't look like a 72 million pound player. He's got zero confidence. He's just shot to pieces. And we've
Yeah.
managed to do that to him in 5 games.
I think he's just struggling with the physicality a little bit as well, Andrew. He wanted a free kick there on the left wing in the first half. Didn't happen. You know?
Richard,
He's
that players are individual players. Like you should be performing for yourself. So essentially, you're going to be a vital piece to the puzzle. You don't have to be the main person all the time. What I noticed is Pepe he's like a speed demon, but almost like when we had Iwobi. Iwobi was very good pacing wise, but he would always pass the ball backwards or sideways. And like Pepe is now shot of confidence because he's running at players, but you know that final decision: do I pass it through? Do I send a through ball? Do I try and send it over the top? Do I take a shot? It's it's destroying him as a player. And like Andrew said, like he's looking he's looking now less like a 80 million player. He's looking more like a League Two player. You
if you didn't
understand?
know,
There's
there's one thing that I'm now considering. Do we now play Pep as a centre forward?
I think we're playing behind the front two when Lacazette's back.
If we have to, I would actually do that. But then, if you look at it, when Pepe was playing over for Lille, majority of the time he was also playing as a centre forward. So I'm just thinking, do we play him in the Europa League game, play him as the main striker, just to give him that bit of confidence? Because I think if he scores a goal, I think maybe he might. If he scores a goal, that'll boost up his confidence. And I think once he gets that goal, he'll feel more confident in himself that he will get that first goal for us. And then maybe he might even push on and go and get some more. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe go back to what Lille done, play him as a centre forward, but play him in a Europa League game as the main striker.
That's a fantastic. I love that point. I love that analogy because we could pass.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say, if you hadn't seen Pepe or Iwobi play before this season, and you'd watched every match this season of Everton and Arsenal, who do you think that you'd go for? Iwobi or Pepe?
Iwobi.
Exactly. How funny is that?
That's really funny, but I can't find the energy to laugh right now because
I can't either. Quite ironic, isn't it?
We're totally distraught. No, like a total loss for words. We have to win these type of games if we stand any chance of trying to get back into Champions League football. Is where you're attracting the top players we need, like our defenders, for example. We were linked to Upamecano. We were linked to possibly a move for Koulibaly. And these are the top rare defenders because that position in centre back is very rare that you're going to get a Virgil van Dijk again. Do you understand?
Oh, well, there's a guy at... it's actually on the last blog. There was a guy before we were signing Tierney. He was talking about Tierney, and he was a Scottish podcaster specifically about Celtic. And he said that there's a guy in the Celtic youth team from Norway, I can't remember his name, about 17 years old. And he said that he looks far superior to Virgil van Dijk did when he was young. He said someone is going to snap him up anytime soon because he looks the real deal already at 17 years old. And he was absolutely raving about him. And he saw Virgil van Dijk, grow up when he was very young at Celtic. And he's absolutely raving about this Norwegian kid. So we've got to, again, it's like with Martinelli. I think he's going to go on to be a great player. And I don't know about Saliba, but fingers crossed he will as well. But if we can be getting these players, at that sort of age, then yeah, that's the way to go. Because who would have paid? I mean, when you're looking at Harry Maguire now, again, he looks like a proper donkey, and that Man United paid 80 million for him.
Yeah.
You know what kind of value is there for established quality players? It's just not there anymore, is it? It's just stupid money. So we've got to be looking really smart and looking for players like like those sorts of kids, haven't we? Really. So we're going to be good in 2 or 3 years' time and try and hold on to them.
Richard, do you think with the Europa League coming up that we have possibly an opportunity to drop a Socrates, bring in Chambers, and hopefully he can stake a claim for the next Premier League game? Because Socrates still really did cost us a point today.
Play him in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Play Chambers in the Europa League.
I would personally play Chambers for our next game, if I'm being honest. And hopefully, if Holding's fit, I'll bring him in and all, because I don't think David Luiz has been all that either. Because I think the game today, I do think that David Luiz was a little bit better to what Socrates was at times. But apart from that, I'd drop them both if it was me. I'd actually drop them both.
And if we're apportioning blame, Socrates was at fault for Tottenham's first goal as well, in my opinion. So,
and you think about this: how many penalties have we conceded at the start of the season? 3.
3 now. There's definitely a case for the defenders to be switched up and bring Holding back, bring Chambers back. Andrew?
I mean, I would play Socrates in the Europa League and leave him in the Europa League team. To be perfectly honest, I would want him in the first team.
So you would play him in the next game?
I don't honestly. Until it gets to the quarter-final, semi-final, I couldn't give a monkeys about the Europa League. And if I'm completely honest, I wouldn't care if we went out in the group stage either. I just really don't care. I wanted to really concentrate on the league this season, but I just don't. I mean, it's there for the taking, the top 4 this season again.
Yeah. Because
the rest of the teams aren't very good. And if we don't make it, then that's just downright embarrassing.
And do you know what, Andrew? Do you know what? It's even worse because we've got Aston Villa for our next Premier League game. Now, if we ain't careful, then we're going to get battered by Villa as well. Sorry, but that's the way I see it at the minute.
If we got battered by Villa, then I'll be absolutely, because the area I live in, my kids all go to school in Tamworth, and all of those Tamworth and all the surrounding areas are Villa mad. And their my boys' cousins are all Villa, then their aunties and uncles are all Villa, and we'll never hear the end of it. So if we lose against Villa, then I'm going to have to flipping, I don't know, go into hiding or go and sit in the cupboard for a few weeks, I think, to be perfectly honest. So I can't even contemplate that. But I just think that if we don't make the top 4 this season, with the squad that we've got now, it would just be downright embarrassing. So I honestly just want to play all the fringe players, all the youth in the Europa League. If we go out, we go out. I don't care. We've got the Thursday, Sunday stuff is not going to do us any favours when it gets to the end of the season. We know that. We know it's a difficult situation. If we didn't have that further down the line, then so be it. That'd be fantastic as far as I'm concerned, because I see the Europa League now the way I see the Carabao Cup. I'm sorry, I do. I just don't see it as an important thing. I just don't want to be in it anymore. And our best route out of it is in the top 4, not in a knockout competition, which is what that is.
Yeah,
anything can happen.
I was really hoping
Andrew,
that maybe our last Europa League season, as I told you, Andrew. Maher, what happens if we lose to Aston Villa? We're after 2 points out of 9 here.
We're all going in hiding. I will build us all a special cave where we can live and stay with our families. I'm just trying to be like, but like me specifically, I've backed Emery. I've backed Emery, and I was drowning out the voices in me saying he might not be good enough. He's had his time. I mean, after 1 season. But surely after the 2nd season, my good cousin who has joined us in the chats as well, he's been saying, and a lot of Gunners, where this is make or break basically for him, because he's been doing these planned substitutions, the wrong lineups to start off with, the wrong personnel. I mean, we've discussed it now, taking off Ceballos, taking off Ozil, taking off your creativity, and not maybe doing it earlier on, where you go for the throat, get 3 goals, get 4 goals, then close the game off by parking. Maybe if you want to park the bus, it's what they call it. Park the bus then at 3-4-0 down, because it's an uphill battle for the opposition that we're playing. But I mean, to do it like this, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and he's been doing this a lot in a lot of our games, as you guys have seen. And it's almost an obvious thing to us now. Like, we know he's going to make it at 70 minutes or 80 minutes, where it doesn't matter. It's too late to change the game drastically. And even the players he's bringing on are making such a big impact. Richard, Andrew, you guys, I'm sure you've seen this with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? I also think today that the formation was wrong as well. Because what Emery done, he left a gap in the middle of midfield. And I think that exposed us to get for them to get to the back line. That's even worse. So I think that what the formation that we should have went with was the 4-2-3-1. That's what we should have stuck with. We could have had Ceballos to play as the number 8 role, where he's more comfortable in playing. Ozil as a number 10. You could have had Guendouzi alongside, because I don't think that Guendouzi should have been dropped after the Tottenham game. Let's put it. I don't think he should have been dropped. I think Nelson should have started. That's for sure. Nelson should have started over on that left-hand side, and then Pep out on the right, and then Ubber up top. That's what should have been. And I think that I personally would have had Socrates and Chambers as the 2 main centre-backs, because if you look at the Newcastle games, Chambers and Socrates, we looked quite solid as a unit at the back during that Newcastle game. I know the performance wasn't that great, but we still grinded out for a 1-0 win. Why change it?
But Ray,
I still see
this game
holding on to jerseys. I still see David Luiz lunging in and giving away penalties. Sorry, Meyer, go ahead.
Didn't you and I discuss this in the pre-game, where we said personally we'd put in Chambers alongside David Luiz, not Socrates?
Yes.
And that way we'd be less likely to concede something stupid. Do you understand?
Yes. Andrew, I've got a question for you. If this continues, we're in 7th position now. If this continues and we have a Manchester United type season that they had last year, will the club act around December? I'm not calling for Unai Emery to be fired, but the facts are, if you're going to lavish around 7th or 8th place, will the club act?
It seems like it's almost against the law to criticise Unai Emery on Twitter. It's just a joke. You're not allowed to say, air any concerns. But the summer, Wenger left the club, obviously. Not last, this summer before. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, that is when the Cronkies took 100% ownership. I don't think that's a coincidence, to be perfectly honest. They finally got 100% ownership of the club, and they got to do what they wanted to do. So I don't think there's any problem with the ruthlessness around the club, to be perfectly honest. And now, if we haven't made any kind of headway or gained any kind of points advantage over our competitors that we had last season for the top 4, then I don't think they'll think twice about giving him the boot. And to be fair, that it'll be, if that was the case, because I don't want him sacked at the moment. I've been airing my grave concerns about him since midway through last season, as you may all be aware. I've always had doubts about the way he's been doing his job. And half-time team talks are a big thing. That's what you pay an awful lot of money to these managers for, is that type of ability to turn things around. And he has been really poor as far as that's concerned. The biggest concern was the Europa League final. When we went in at half-time, I would have thought perhaps slightly ahead on points if it was bottom time. We were slightly the better team.
Yeah.
And we after, what was it, 2 or 3 minutes, and we capitulate. And I'm sorry, but that is a big concern when you, God knows what, but £8 million a year to go in to do a half-time team talk in a major European final, and that's the response you get. It's odd, it should fill me full of confidence, and this season has done nothing to subdue that those fears that I've had, to be perfectly honest.
Ray, do you know what? Going to Andrew, right, when he said about Unai Emery, about the board being ruthless, I'm just thinking if we are still out of the top 4 by December, I think Emery could be gone by January. That's what I think. I think it is possible that could happen, that he could go by January, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does. See, I've backed Unai Emery since he's come in. I gave him the year to get the team how he wants it and to decide who he wants and who he doesn't want.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you look at Jurgen Klopp, for instance, at Liverpool, he had 2 years. He had the year to find out who he wanted. The second year was to implement his instructions of what he wanted from the players, and then within that third year, he was competing with Man City. So maybe Unai Emery does need time, but then we need to criticise his judgments. This is the more important season because we've seen what he'd done within that first season. This is the time where the fans could take his head for certain decisions that he's making during the team, for the team decisions that he's making during games.
The difference is, though, that people stick by managers like Klopp and Pep when they can see that they're clear grounding for the club and the way they want to play. We can't see that after 18 months still. After a very quick, short amount of time, despite the fact that they finished 8th, I think, in his first season under Jurgen Klopp, they still had a specific way of playing that he wanted to implement, and they had to get the new players in to do that fully, but they still knew what he was doing. I would give any manager time if I knew I could see with my eyes what he was trying to create for the club. I have not seen that once under Unai Emery yet.
Andrew, is the midfield all wrong, Andrew? Is the midfield selection all wrong?
Yep. He seems to me to be very tactically naive, and he gets out-coached by far too many coaches. They seem to be able to just work him out very easily. Very easily. They know our weaknesses.
But Andrew, I was also going to say, if you think about it, we lost all of our assets. Liverpool still had their assets. They still have Coutinho. They sold him for £140 million, but yet brought a goalkeeper and bought Virgil van Dijk. When Unai Emery came in, we lost our assets. Alexis Sanchez was our asset, and we lost him on the free to Man United. Then you look at Aaron Ramsey, one of our other assets. We also lost him on the free.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong timing.
That's wrong timing. Previous regime with the very poor management of the club. Yeah. And I wouldn't say at the time we lost Alexis Sanchez that he was an asset, to be perfectly honest. He'd at
that point.
Yeah. But he was an asset. But I think when we got rid of him, I think we did get rid of him at the right time, to be perfectly honest. But I see exactly what you mean. And the rest of that is all down to previous regime. And this is what I'm on about the summer before last, when the Cronkies got full ownership of the club, 100%. That's when everything started, and the broom was sweeping through. I honestly don't think it was a coincidence that Wenger left that summer. I really don't. And they started to get things done. They started to get the people out the way. So I think it's just going to be a waiting game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But We'll just have to be patient, but it's not easy. It's not easy being patient when you can see that,
Yeah, Andrew, in the past 3 or 4 years, this happened to Manchester City. This happened to Liverpool. That we just have to be patient. That we just need to be patient.
Yeah, but Ray, even if Unai Emery gets us top 4 or not, I think he still needs to leave.
Go, Andrew.
He ain't the man to take it. He is. He never was anything more than a transitional manager in my book. Someone to come in and steer the ship after Wenger leaving. And I think that's going to be the case personally, whether he does reach top 4 or not, unless we really are pushing for second, maybe. But that ain't going to happen. We know that. We can see that today. That ain't going to happen now. I honestly hoped and wished for that at the beginning of the year, but with the squad that we've got now, the way that we can attack teams, but he's not. I don't think he's got that in him as a manager. So I'm giving up on that.
Let me pose a question to you guys.
I just want to say, Hamdu, keep it clean or else you'll be kicked off.
Please just kick that Hamro out if he keeps playing games.
Stay on if you want, but keep it clean. We do have a few rules.
We have a troll in the... Guys, pay no attention to that Hamro. He's the Hamro of the week.
Listen, this has been...
I want to pose a question to you guys. So we discussed this a while back. If we do get rid of Unai Emery, if he isn't the guy for the job, who could possibly come and take over? Who could possibly be that guy? That coach that takes us to the next level, or will we be still experiencing the same problems?
For me, it's got to be Allegri. I'd bring him in. I'm sorry, I would. I'd bring him in.
Richard, but wouldn't he want money as well? Wouldn't he want a war chest to completely change the team, with personnel?
Well, then that's when the board have got to pull their finger. If they want the best for Arsenal Football Club and they want to achieve the big trophies, and they've got to do it, they've got to make that bold decision to do it.
Because before we got Emery, he was actually main priority. And personally, I would have loved Allegri. I was calling for Allegri to come to us and basically coach us or rebuild with us.
The last thing I'd do is go for any of these big name managers, because I think they've gone the same way as the players, to be perfectly honest. I think they are just mercenaries circling Europe, and they can't. A lot of them have proven they can't do the job without shed loads of money, and like I said, they've gone the same way as all the top players. They're just there for the money, and they'll move on as soon as the next opportunity comes along. And I think if we get someone like that, Nagelsmann, before he gets snapped up by any of the big clubs, that could be something worth pursuing. There's so many there that are untapped that we've never heard of yet. We've never heard of Wenger when he came over to us. He was plying his trade in China or Japan, whatever it was. George Graham was a Millwall manager when we got him. It doesn't matter where they're not got these flashy names. Chris Wilder has taken Sheffield United up from League One up to the Premier League, and he's still got some of the League One players in the team that he's, and they're playing better than us at the moment in the Premier League. So
I think we've lost.
I don't know what happened there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Andrew, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, everything went black then for a minute. But anyway, I'm going to have to call my leave now, I'm afraid, this evening. I've really enjoyed it. I'm ashamed it's not talking about nice things. But,
I wanted to switch the subject, Andrew. One question before you go. Which were you delighted to see? And also his sister, Guendouzi, getting involved in that fight, picking up for his teammate. Which did you like better?
The Ozil assist. Because Guendouzi disappointed me today, I must admit. He didn't play very well at all. I did like the the bit of a ruck, though. You know, it's nice to see that little bit of passion, but we should have seen a bit more of that in play, unfortunately.
All right, thank you, Andrew. I know you got to go.
Yes, thanks very much for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it. See you later, guys. Everyone, take care.
Bye, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks for coming on. So, Richard Mahir, we're going to switch it up a little bit. I've had to deal with some trolls, so this is a sign that we're growing here. So we always say, bring it on. And yeah, I'm going to have to start making someone into a moderator around here. You've got some experience with that, Richard, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's change the mood a little bit. It's all been a little bit downbeat. What happened today that you saw that was good, Richard?
Ozil assists, Aubameyang doing what he normally does and scoring goals. Apart from that, I didn't really see anything that was positive, apart from seeing Reece Nelson and Willock coming on. I think Willock made a great run in heading towards goal, but he was unfortunate to get tackled. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really see anything at the minute. And this is why I'm a bit worried about going into the Frankfurt game.
Yeah, so what I really enjoyed was Guendouzi getting involved in that fracas between Pepe and Holovas. Was it Holovas?
Yeah, I think so.
And no, that showed me that, you know, there's some team spirit in that team.
Yeah, there is team spirit in there, but we want to see that fight on the field because, like I said, I heard that Unai Emery mentioned in his interview before the game started, and he said that the players, they're playing for the badge. I didn't see that today. I did not see them playing for the badge today.
Yeah, I saw it in the first half, but all failings. I think the whole thing hinged on losing that ball when we were trying to play it out from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think the defense, the errors came from our defense mainly today. But then you have to look at it on another side. When you got Watford coming at us, we had too much room in midfield, so that was opening the gap towards the defense for them to get towards our back line. And I just think that formation was all wrong today. I think we should have stuck with the 4-2-3-1, and I think Callum Chambers should have started. I don't see anything in that Newcastle game why he should have been dropped. I didn't see anything, and I was surprised he didn't even play against Tottenham either.
Yeah, there's certainly a few players in the team that I believe Unai Emery does not rate, and will have other players in front of him. He's finally cottoned on to Mustafi a little bit, but I also think he doesn't rate Willock highly enough for Chambers or Nelson.
See, there's another thing. I'm worried about the right back position because today Ainsley Maitland-Niles was caught out quite a few times. I know he got the assist for Aubameyang's goal, but in terms of defensively, he was caught out quite a few times. And I'm just thinking whether to bring Mustafi back and put him as a right back for now. I mean, if you look at Mustafi when he was playing for the German side, he was playing a lot of the time at that right back position when they won the World Cup. So why not? I mean, we might as well use him while we've got him.
Yeah, and we just have a comment here. Pep Guardiola, he would play Mustafi at right back. No joke.
I would, because I just don't think that Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a right choice to play as a right back. He's more of an attacking minded player. You see the difference straight away. When he was going up into the attacking third, you could see that he was more comfortable. But when he was playing at the right back position, when he was more into our defensive third, you could see he wasn't that great. He just looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, London Old School has talked about him being in midfield. and hopefully when Bellerin comes back, do you see an opportunity for Ainsley Maitland-Niles to sustain the team in midfield when Bellerin comes back, Richard?
To be quite honest, I think he'll probably play for most of the cup games. I think the only time he'll probably get a chance in the first team when Bellerin's back, I reckon, will be if one of our players is injured in midfield. Because at the end of the day, he's got to fight. He's got to fight for his place. You know, you've got Denis Ceballos who's come into the side, and I think he's hinting that he wants a permanent deal at Arsenal. So it does look that way, that Ainsley Maitland-Niles will have to fight for his position. He will have to.
Yeah. So we're going to close out the show pretty soon, Richard. Thanks for coming on. Do you have any other things to say about today? Moving forward, the Frankfurt game and next weekend, the Aston Villa game.
Well, the Aston Villa game is a must-win. That's an obvious, because we drew 2 games. We drew against Spurs, drew today. The Frankfurt game I'm worried about, because we're going into this game sort of downbeaten.
Are we in bad form?
Defensively, yes. I think defensively we are in bad form. See, this is why also I don't get the point of selling Monreal. I think we should have kept him so he can give the advice to Kieran Tierney from when he comes. I think that would have been the obvious one, because now if Koležník gets injured, we've got no one to replace him.
I mean, Tierney has a lot of experience, but he's still young. He could have benefited from a Monreal, right? What's Kolasinac going to tell him? What's he going to learn from Kolasinac? Not much.
Not much more. Not much defensively. I think what Kieran Tierney will do, he will just go with his own initiative, what he knows of what he's played with Celtic. So I think that's what he'll do. I know he'll probably take instructions from Unai Emery, but I think that will just go in one ear and out the other, really. I think that Kieran Tierney will just stick to his own game plan of what he can do.
Yeah, let's delve into that quickly before we leave. Bellerin and Tierney come back. What do we look like? Those flanks get filled up a little bit more by fullbacks pushing on.
I think we will look more solid in terms of the wings. See, that's only one half of it done, but then you've got to think of the centre back in Rowe as well. And that's the key area that we need to strengthen in January. I think with having Bellerin, with Bellerin being injured, you don't know what Bellerin's going to turn up. You don't know because an injury can make you stronger or it can make you weaker. It depends on how you take it as a person. I know that Bellerin was playing well until he got injured, so I don't know if that's going to affect his form, for him being out with no game time. But I think for Bellerin, he needs game time in terms of the under-23s first before bringing him back into the first team, and then just bring him in gradually so he can build up his confidence. I think once he's got that, then I'll say that once he's 100%, then bring him into the first team. And the same for Kieran Tierney as well.
Do you think when we bring them into the first team, we can surge in game points? That's really what we need to do at this point. And I thought we'd pick up 3 points today for sure.
Yeah, so did I. But, I think that Emery thought it was done and dusted at half-time, being 2-0 up. For me, I was kind of a bit still on edge, because the way Watford was playing in that first half, we was getting caught out quite a few times. And then I thought, well, at half-time, 2-0 up, we need to go again the same way we did when we was in complete full control, and get a third goal. If we get a third goal, it's going to be an uphill struggle for Watford. That's what I thought that Emery would have thought, but clearly not.
Onwards and upwards, Richard. Thanks for coming in.
But for me, this Watford game is exactly the same as a Tottenham game. It's 3 points dropped. That's the way I look at it. How can you be 2-0 up and then go and draw the game 2-2?
Yeah. But slightly different, because we came back to draw. Here we lost 3 points. We lost 2 points. You know.
Yeah, but even the Tottenham game, it's still 3 points dropped
Yeah.
because even that Tottenham game we should have won.
At the end of
We
the
should
day,
have won.
it's still a point, and that's what the record books will show. It won't show whether we were 2-0 up. We'll all remember these games at the end of the season. Hopefully,
Yeah,
what we
but
said this
I do also think that whether Unai Emery gets us top four or not, I think he should still go because I don't think that Unai Emery is the right person to push us forward in terms of the Champions League if we get that far. If we get to the Champions League, you think of it on the other side, how far are we going to get in there? Are we going to go into the last 16 and then get knocked out again like we have done?
My way of thinking at the start of the season was we have two superior teams, and that may well still be the case in Manchester City and Liverpool. And the squad that we've got together over summer, we should easily get top four. So we're kind of in a no man's land. And if we do get top four, a lot of people will want to stick with Emery.
Yeah, but I just, even if we get top four or not, I just think that what the board need to think, they can say, right, you've got us this far in terms of the get us that Champions League qualification spot. Maybe they think, right, we need to bring in someone else that's going to push us to that extra level to take us more further into the Champions League and to make us a better side again. That's what I think anyway.
Listen, thanks for coming on, Richard. I want to give a shout out
You're
to
welcome,
everyone
Ray.
who came on, yourself included. Thanks to Andrew, Mahir, and James. Thanks to Cohen, the Watford supporter who came in and spent some time with us, Pep Fraudiola, and I hope I'm not missing anyone else out. London Old School, the Arsenal Realist was in, and of course, we all know Alex from Cannon Fodder TV. So thanks everybody for coming in. Appreciate the interaction. Disheartening to lose 2 points. We had 3 points in the bag there, and hopefully this team and this coach can learn moving forward. But we keep saying that, Richard. We keep saying that.
Yeah, we do. We keep saying that Emery will learn from his mistakes, but at the same time, he's clearly not. He's clearly not learning from the Tottenham game, and he's clearly not learning that playing the ball out from the back is clearly not working.
Yeah.
I would say if you feel like the pressure's on you, kick the ball long.
Yeah. Not that the fullbacks are the key to everything, but hopefully they'll make us a stronger unit when they are fit and ready to play. Tierney and Bellerin and Holding should help us moving forward.
In terms of that left back position, Kieran Tierney is good going forward and he's good defensively. So that side will definitely be secured up. It's more or less the right back because Bellerin, as I said, it depends on what Bellerin turns up from his injury. He could be good. It could be the same Bellerin that we had years ago where he was poor defensively and then when he went up into that final third, he couldn't cross the ball. You know, it depends on how he turns up from his injury. But it's better to what Ainsley Maitland-Niles is at the moment.
Onwards and upwards. Hopefully the coach will have a little think about his defenders, and the Europa League, in my opinion, offers an opportunity for him to switch things up a little bit and not be controversial. So we shall see what happens. Thanks for coming on, Richard, and we will be back midweek and next week as well, where we face Aston Villa. Have a great weekend. Try to do something non-Arsenal related. Take your mind off things, Richard.
Yeah, well, I've got my players' ratings coming out tonight, so that should be fun.
Well, check out Richard over on Arsenal TV. He's closing in on 1,000 subs. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't checked out Richard over on Arsenal TV, check him out. Get him to 1,000 subs. I know he's going to do something special when he gets to 1,000 subs. Do you want to talk about it or just let people dig into your channel and find out?
Well, I'll give you an insight of what I'm doing. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm actually dyeing the middle of my hair blonde. That's my full fit when I get to that mark.
You're a little bit away, but you will get there, and that will happen.
Yeah, as I said, it's not. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
a marathon, exactly. Just like the Premier League. 5 games
but
in.
for the people that can't find my channel, what I'll do, I'll link it in the comments box below.
Yeah, I will definitely do that once everything's uploaded here. Thanks
Sure.
everybody for coming in live. Those people are watching on playback. Hope you enjoyed the show. We hope for better results moving forward in the remainder of the season. Not remainder of the season, but as the season goes on. Thanks, Richard.
You're
Come on,
welcome.
you Gooners. We say it with a heavy heart today. Come on, you Gooners.
Yeah.
Better times ahead.